I think that when you talk about Outkast and the branding and how we grew and the group grew up, I think the first person we have to thank would be L.A. Reid. L.A. never put restraints on the guys. He always let them do what they knew how to do. I tell people that it was a blessing that we had a unique relationship because Big Boy and Dre, originally from Atlanta, from the South, they had a Southern perspective and a Southern appreciation of the music, and they had the unique way that they wanted it to sound and how it was. Me coming from New York, I had a different perspective. I understood New York and music industry and the business side and how the business industry looked at everything. And I think the combination of my New York way and my hustle and New York style and their Southern flavor and what they had created a type of perfect storm for us to win fights when it was like, if I went into CLA and creatively it seemed a little outside the box, the guys, LA had to respect them, so he let them live. If I came in and it was business that needed to be handled, he had to respect my business acumen. So we gained the success that we earned by being able to win a lot of fights and being able to take those risks. And when we won, it gave us a little more room the next time. And I think what really helped us when we got to Stankonia and Love Blowing Speaker Box is that by then, Outkast fans had given us such a wide berth to take chances and to express and do things differently and live, that we just got into a groove where it was like, we just do what we do. We don't worry about what anybody else is doing. The guys aren't copying radio or hearing whatever the people are doing musically. They just do what they do. I'm not sitting around like trying to market and do the same thing with each project. I'm constantly looking at where the world is at that particular time right before we come out and how can we get in and make an impact, or how do we market this record and do it a little differently. And I think that combination, and Big Dre and myself, we stay in our lanes, is like what we like to say within our camp. I don't make music, I let them make music. They let me do what I do on the marketing and deal making, and it's proven like a very successful formula for us. I think if there was a moment that was more like a turning point, then I don't think we've ever sat around and said, yo, we're just gonna do something totally new. I think it's just always worked out that I got an idea. I don't think I've seen anybody do it before, but I got an idea. Later, when you look back, everybody's like, yo, this is new and it's groundbreaking. But I think the turning point for our career was we had an opportunity to go on tour with Lauryn Hill. And I always have to, thank Lauryn and shout him out for taking us out on that tour and giving us the opportunity. But it was the truth of the matter is Lauryn and them didn't want to pay us what we felt we were worth on that tour. And I saw the tour as a huge opportunity for us to go from being the Southern rap band to getting in front of Lauryn's fans. And this was the miseducation of Lauryn, and they just come off of selling 12 million The Score albums, and she was on her roll for this, and she was going on tour. And I felt like if we could get in front of the Lauryn fans, I knew we could make those fans our fans. So we went out on that tour for pennies, Lauryn and them got us. We got handled with the money, but it was worth it to me. And I tell people all the time, Big Boy and Dre probably fired me 10 times on that tour because we fought about the money. We fought about how much we were getting paid and whether we were shortchanging ourselves. But every night I was just seeing the fans and their eyes were getting, and they were looking, and they were sort of amazed by Dre and what he was wearing, and amazed by Big Boy's personality and the guys' showmanship together. And every night we went out there and we ripped that stage up, and we made it harder on Lauryn every night to come on that stage after us. And from that tour, it changed the perception of us, I believe, because the media and a lot of the media that decides whether you're going to be hot, sexy, and fly was at those shows because they wanted to see Lauryn. And those that saw us were like, hey, this little group is doing their thing. And I think that's what opened us up to a lot of mainstream success and a lot of opportunities that weren't there before. It also financially, when we finished that tour, our numbers almost doubled and tripled on what people were willing to pay for us to come through. And so the Lauryn Hill tour gave us the opportunity and to step up from just being a normal group and taking it up a level. I think after we did the Lauryn Hill tour, mainstream media, the cool media, everybody had their eyes on us. They were paying attention to what we were doing. When we dropped the next album and we started out, we had Miss Jackson and those type of hits. Once we got a really big radio hit, now mainstream and everyone's paying attention, we're crossing over. So I had an opportunity for us to go on our own type of tour. So we went out on a tour, and actually, me and the guys, I remember making sure we wanted to give somebody the opportunity that we had. So I remember us taking Ludacris out on that run with us, and we took Ludacris, and he opened up for us. So Ludacris when I look at Chris now and I look at where his sales are and where he is compared to some of his peers that came out with him, the reason that Ludacris sells 2 to 4 million records now is because he was in front of the same type of fans that we were in front of with Lauren. People were like, Outkast, Outkast. And then they saw Chris come out and kill the show every night. I think that the crossover and the things that fed into it was that while we had songs like Miss Jackson and we had the success that we were having, I was never afraid to book the guys to go do the Winter X Games. I was never afraid to go and do skater events, and we would do, the guys were like, yo, hey, the money's right, we'll go do it. Let's go ahead and do credible and the right stuff. So we would go and do those shows and rock them. And we'd go on tours in the summer, and we'd be on tour and going right before Moby on a tour or something like that, and we'd take Moby fans. So whenever we would go on tour, we always take people's fans. And that's what always Outkast and touring has always been about for us. It's always been about getting out there, making new fans, and making them ours. So if you put us on before Lauryn Hill, we're gonna make Lauryn Hill's fans ours. If you put us on before Moby, we're gonna make Moby's fans ours. If you put us on tour with George Clinton, we're gonna get to Parliament and all those fans, and that's how we've always done it. And so the touring aspect of who Outkast is was very vital, along with like doing TV and always being able to translate the energy from our videos and what you saw on stage. A lot of groups, you see one thing like in a video, it's a different thing when you see them live, or it's just a whole different, you're not getting the same. With Outkast, the energy you see in the video is the same energy you see with them on stage, is the same energy that you see when they do David Letterman. So it's no letdown. You're excited to see them perform Miss Jackson on The Tonight Show, you're excited to see them when you go see them in a concert. And that carried over with Bombs Over Baghdad into Miss Jackson, and then into like a Hey Ya and The Way You Move. So I really believe like those, and always maintaining that. And again, L.A. Reid and the label, and we've had fights and stuff like that, but when the guys feel like, yo, we wore this outfit and we need to whole new outfits for this to keep the energy and keep it fresh, them letting us go ahead and giving us the money and wardrobe to go keep that fresh and to do those things and keep the fans excited and guessing, or giving the guys the wardrobe money so that they can constantly come up with new looks on magazine covers and things like that. And I think that as management, it's those fights that you do, and the guys having the creative energy just to keep coming up with stuff. So it makes it easier for you to go fight. And each time you win, you know, you get a bigger like bat to go fight the label with. And there's times where things just sometimes work out. Like I remember fighting with L.A. Reid about Dre performing at the halftime of Super Bowl with the Justin and all that stuff. And we were like, nah, we don't want to do it, we don't want to do it. In hindsight, it's brilliant that we didn't do it because that was a crazy Super Bowl and everything. But I think there's also been a lot of fate and a lot of like things falling in the right place at the right time. I always believed that Outkast could be as successful as we've been. I've actually felt like we could be even bigger than we are. You know, I definitely always, when I first started managing Outkast and I got to know the guys, I sort of had a chip on my shoulder because I felt like people like were like talking about the Loonies when we first came out, and then it was 95 South. Like people were never really giving the guys their props. And then when we came up to New York and it was the Source Awards and all this other stuff, I always felt like we were getting jerked. I think for the first 2 albums, we ran around with a chip on our shoulder, like trying to make people pay attention. And so my goal eventually went from when we started getting the critical acclaim and getting 5 mics and stuff and things like that, I started going from wanting to be the biggest like rap group in the world to wanting to make the guys the biggest just group band in the world. So to me, as much success as we've had, I'm still not done with what I think we can really be. Like I want to be what the Eagles and the Rolling Stones and those groups are for a generation of people. I want to be able to look up in 20 years, and if the guys want to go on the road, that we can fill up stadiums like the Eagles and those people can, and make $50, $60 million summer and just touring out and just touring on the summer. Because I really think that we've created a brand that's going to last, you know, and we're going to have the options to do what we want to do. I think creatively, I study their managers. I study some of the moves. I'm like, Irving Azoff manages the Eagles, and Doc that's managed by Jovi, all these type of managers. I find that one thing is that most of the time they've had the same manager, so it's been a formula that works well, you know, so there's some consistency. I find that every group goes through like some time where they need some space apart to appreciate like and really step back and really soak in everything that they have accomplished and done. I think the similarities is that we just really we've had that type of run that great bands have at one point. When you look at a great band's career, sometimes like a U2 or this, you can look at like a string of albums in a row, or you can look at what that groundbreaking landmark album that defined that group is, and then they turn around and follow it up, or 2 albums later they follow up. And that's the difference, I think, between average artists and great artists. I think great artists have more than one defining album. I think when you're a great group or you're a great band or a great artist, that your fans can sit around and argue about which album is better. I think when you are a good artist and you're just an artist that had like some good records, then everyone knows what your best album is. They can go, oh, that was this best album. I think with Outkast, we have people that argue that Aquemini was our best album. You know, we have some that feel like Stankonia. We have some that feel Love Below in Speaker Box. That means that we've laid out a good quality work, and I think that better work is always gonna like last. And I think I still manage the group with a chip on my shoulder. I don't think that we get everything we should get out of it, like all the press and everything that we should get sometimes. I don't feel like we get mentioned high enough on greatest albums sometimes. I don't feel we get mentioned in most relevant artists sometimes. I feel like the Fugees sold 12 million records on the score, and I feel like that was a single album. We sold 13 million on our album, but it was a double album. So I feel like, could we have sold 12, and could we really have made it 20, 24? So it's just my personal competitive edge is always trying to see what we can do better, how we can do it differently, and push the envelope.